What are you doing?
Nothing, I think. Or if we're being completely honest, Luigi's Mansion 3 is one of my favorite games I've ever played, and it's part of the reason why I fell in love with the Nintendo Switch, but I just wish I could play more Luigi's Mansion.
You know, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is about to come out on the Switch, right?
I didn't know that, but that's probably a lot better idea than doing this, so
Yeah.
I'll probably just go do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. We have another Luigi's Mansion game to play. A new Luigi's Mansion game? I mean, technically it is, but technically it isn't. Regardless, in this video, I will tell you everything you need to know before you jump in to Luigi's Mansion 2 HD on the Switch. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, it would truly mean the world to me, especially because I'm wearing this pretty ridiculous outfit and it's extremely hot for some reason. I don't know why. This stretchy hat. No ventilation. So yeah, like and subscribe if you could, and let's get into everything you need to know about this game. So if you're like me, you love the Luigi's Mansion franchise, but this may be your very first Luigi's Mansion game of all time. So a little bit of history. The very first Luigi's Mansion game ever was released in 2001 for the Nintendo GameCube, and that's actually pretty strange because every Nintendo console either launches with a Zelda game or a Mario game, but the GameCube launched with Luigi's Mansion. The next Luigi's Mansion game we got was in 2013 for the Nintendo 3DS. 6 years after that, in 2019, we got Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch. And all the way in 2024, we're getting Luigi's Mansion 2 HD for the Nintendo Switch. So quickly before we get into more of the details here, there's one thing you have to keep in mind here. If you've ever played Luigi's Mansion 3, you know how amazing that game looks. So you're going to be comparing the graphics from Luigi's Mansion 3 to Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, and that's kind of not fair. Like, I get where you're coming from, but this is a 3DS game that was ported to the Switch, so it's impossible that it's going to look as good as Luigi's Mansion 3, even though it came out after Luigi's Mansion 3. So I think that's some unfair criticism this game might receive. Just remember you're technically playing a 3DS game when you're thinking about the graphics. Now, I'm not saying these graphics are bad at all, and they're actually a lot better than the 3DS version, but it's just something to keep in the back of your mind when you're playing, and you might think of Luigi's Mansion 3 graphics compared to, well, Luigi's Mansion 2. I kind of feel like I'm just repeating myself here, so let's move on. I'm going to try to keep this video as spoiler free as possible, so we're not going to get into all the details, but just everything you really need to know to get you on your way. So the main focus of Luigi's Mansion 3 is just one giant haunted mansion. We're going to go through this mansion, and there's a bunch of different floors. In Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, you actually have 5 mansions to explore. And each one of those mansions bring their own themes and challenges and enemies, and I think that's really neat. Although I enjoyed the setting of Luigi's Mansion 3, I actually think I prefer the way it is in Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So what's the actual story here? Well, Luigi's Mansion 2 actually adopts a mission-based structure. So what you'll be doing is completing a series of missions as you make your way into each mansion. On top of all of that, I think each mansion has its own bonus missions, and then each of their own boss fights. If you've ever played a Luigi's Mansion game, you understand, like, you have this vacuum thing that can kind of suck up ghosts and do some other stuff. So not only do you have the Poltergust 5000, you have another item called the Strobe Bulb and a dark light device. So how long is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD? Because I actually can't remember how long Luigi's Mansion 3 was, but it was a fairly decent long game in my opinion. So Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is around 15 to 20 hours. Maybe a little bit longer if you're searching every single area looking for hidden items, but it doesn't overstay its welcome, and I kind of think that's the perfect length for this game. So one of the things I need to highlight are the controls. I think the controls in Luigi's Mansion 3 are perfect. You never have to second guess how things work, you just kind of already know how they work. The controls in Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, I'm not really a fan of. Like, you can use X to look up and B to look down. And this is coming from the controls of the 3DS, so I understand why they had it this way, but on the Switch we have a whole nother right Joy-Con. And the reason why this is weird is because I believe you use X to open doors and B to run, so it's just kind of a little tricky. Sometimes you'll press buttons that you don't want to press, and I just wish they had the option for the controls of Luigi's Mansion 3. A really cool feature of Luigi's Mansion 3 was multiplayer, and there is multiplayer in Luigi's Mansion 2 HD as well. And the mode is called Scare Scraper, and you can play this online mode with up to 4 players, and I think that's pretty neat. I don't really think the online mode was utilized that much, but it is a really cool feature to have nonetheless. So how big is this actual game? Luigi's Mansion 3 had a file size of 7.4 gigabytes, and in my opinion that's a pretty average file size. Luigi's Mansion 2 is actually less than half of that, with a file size of only 3 gigabytes. So this game barely takes up any space at all. So how much is this game? Well, this is a part that I actually have a problem with. This isn't a remaster. It's barely a remake. It's basically just a port that was enhanced a little bit. And in itself, that's not a problem or an issue. I think the game looks great and plays great, but it's full priced at $60. And if you wonder why I kind of have an issue with that, well, if you look up the price for the same game currently, for the 3DS right now, you can find copies for like $10 to $20. Basically the same exact game, just for the 3DS. So if you have a 3DS, I don't know if I would recommend this game per se, at least for $60, but it is your money, right? You can do whatever you want with it. If you had to ask me how much I think the game should be, I would say $40 is a pretty fair price. All in all, would I recommend this game? Lately, when I've been doing these videos dedicated to certain games, I've been doing like a 1 through 10 system, and I would probably give this game a 7.8 to 8 out of 10. It's losing a point right away just for that price, and another point for the controls, and I just would have liked to see a little bit more, I guess, just for bringing this game over to the Switch, but it's not a bad game at all. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about all this? I really hope you enjoyed this video. I tried to make more of an effort for you, especially since we're around that 10,000 subscriber mark. I'm trying to level up a little bit. In the comments below, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you could, and you guys know me. I'll see you soon with a new video. Peace out.